'cause I'm a boss.
Welcome to episode 2 of Single Mom Sells Podcast, where sexy sells, confident converts, and single moms stay winning. That's what we do. Welcome back, queens. It's your girl, Jamie, Chrissy, Anna, and Myra. If episode 2 reminded you that you don't need permission, today is all about power, specifically the kind that comes from knowing your worth. Generational wealth. And sexy is building generational wealth from your kitchen table. Sexy isn't just Louis Vuittons and heels. It's knowing your worth. Sexy is being so confident that in the chaos, all you're doing is closing deals. ABC, always be closing.
We're owning the word sexy in a whole new way. Sexy isn't filtered, it's fearless.
Sexy is clarity, confidence, and commission.
And sexy is building generational wealth from your kitchen table. So let's get into it.
Let's rewind, ladies. Who remembers their first sell? Let's take each other back. For me, I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't remember my first sell. What I remember is my first rejection, my first discount card that I went into, and I'm feeling like confident. I'm killing it. I'm going through the presentation and she hits me with, do I have to do this again? I already have a policy. And I'm like, oh my God, nobody told me that discount cards could be a policy holder, you know? And I'm freaking out and didn't know what to do. And this guy, Trevor, came in and he helped me out. He did not close the deal, but he did help me out. And that's what I remember. And I always thought I would remember my first sell, but I actually didn't, because I've sold so many policies and I've helped so many families that it's hard to remember each one individually. And that's why I save all their names and numbers in my phone, so I can always refer back to that message, because I always want my clients to know that they do bring value to me, even if I can't remember them. And if that's me being 100% honest with you, that's how I remember not my first sell. Christina?
Mine was chaos. My computer was overheating. The kids were outside my door trying to get in. I lost my script. I was nervous and anxious and just full of anxiety. I'm sure you can remember, Jamie, you were with me. But when she said yes, that just changed everything. And it wasn't that I doubted her. It was just I didn't believe in myself yet.
And you know, my first client, I can't tell you how nervous I was about it. I'm pretty sure Jamie was with me. However, when I got that first yes, mind you, she was already at work. And then she said yes. But all I needed was her social and her bank information. And then she was like, I got to go back to work. The kids are crying because she was a daycare provider. Oh my goodness. I was sweating bullets. I said, she's not coming back. She's not going to buy the policy. It's not going to happen. But then you know what I realized? She did come back. She did buy a policy from me. And honestly, I'm here to serve. That was my first one. It was crazy. Myra, what about you? What was your first one?
So let's talk about my first sale. My first sale, I walked in with my manager. Of course, I had practice and I've been studying my script for a month and I had it memorized. But when I walked in the house, I kind of forgot everything that I had to say. I went a little bit blank. I did the intro and then I kind of drew a blank, everything. I forgot everything. But then he was there and he guided me back into what I had to say. And I got my confidence back and I was able to say, to make a sale. And it was Mr. Alonso was his name. And I remember they bought a policy for him, his wife, and their 3 children.
That's amazing, Myra. I have to say, it's fair to say that confidence just wasn't there yet, but we just went into lights, camera, action mode anyway. Like, we made that first call, we booked that first appointment, and we ran that first sell. And it's amazing. But let's flip it. You know, what was your last sell like? Chrissy, why don't you take this one away? And I'm going to follow up after Myra at the end.
My last sale, it was definitely more confident, calm, clear, and collected. I mean, I struggled for a while, just mainly with my confidence. And, you know, once she told me that she trusted me, it took me to a whole nother level where I really felt confident to really know that I can help her now. I can help her and her family now.
Anna, what do you think?
My last sale was a confident booster. He actually called me and was telling me that he needed the policy. But when I told him how much it was, he was very hesitant. However, I remember that I'm here to serve. And so we got to where him and his family were comfortable. He's still protected and everybody's happy. So it really worked out. What about you, Myra?
The difference now is that I lead now. I don't chase. I present. And people feel that power. So when people feel that confidence in you and you know what you're talking about, they want to buy from you. So my last sale was actually a client of mine that I had sold back in 2018, and I had gone to her home. So I had her in a policy review and she wanted to increase her policy. She just had surgery, so we have to wait about a month before we can increase her policy. But she actually zoomed in her daughter because she has 4 children and 2 of her twins have cancer. They can't qualify. So we ended up zooming in her daughter so we can get her covered. So that was my last sale.
You know, Myra, referrals, that's key. That's why we call you the referral queen. And that's why we're still waiting on your, workshop. I know you're a busy, busy woman, but me and Aunt Chrissy, we're ready. You just let us know when, because we want the juice for real. But for my last sale, it was going to be a policyholder review that they did have mortgage protection set up, but it was funded through accidental death. And that's super smart while you're young. It's going to save you money because the likelihood that you're, going to die, it's going to be in an accident versus natural causes while you're healthy. And that's if you're healthy. If you know you have a history of family issues, you might want to lock that term in a little bit earlier. But with this specific family, they did not. And so, we had a conversation and that was something that was very important to them. So I just showed them what that looked like. God bless you. And I added, that traditional mortgage protection in there with a little bit more whole life because that's what's generating your cash value. And that's what you're going to be able to borrow from later. And it's also what you're going to be able to utilize after year 2 on your freedom of choice so that your funeral and final expenses is paid for up front without any contest period. And that is very important because on the worst day of your family's life, you do want to make sure that your freedom of choice will be able to cover that family's funeral so that you can just deal with the grief and not the financial burden. As well as just knowing that, as soon as that death certificate does come, that you're going to be able to get any remainder of the money. And that's a huge blessing. That's what sets our company, Globe Life American Income Life, separate from every other company, is that we want to be there to help support you financially on the worst day of your life, not you having to figure it out. And then we're going to, compensate you later. That's not helping you right now, and that's what my last sale was like. And it was so important and really connected with the clients. Like a lot of times I feel like I need to go have, a coffee or lunch with them. But, ladies, confidence is currency. And the more you have, the more you earn. So let's unpack, what does sexy mean? Like, what does it mean now for you ladies in sales? Chrissy, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's just be honest, ladies. Being and living in a single mom life is not always sexy. I mean, going from all the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, surviving meltdowns, to needing to do pickups, drop-offs, and constantly having to problem solve for multiple people, we don't just naturally feel sexy. So we have to continuously work on our self-confidence. And I feel like the mind, body, and spirit is the really most important, and the self-care. Always finding a way to decompress so that we can feel good about ourselves, because we're so busy running around after our kids, running around, trying to manage the household, trying to make money, trying to, now serve others, it gets away from us. And so our self-care is really extremely important. So, sexy is really saying, I got this and I can do it no matter what.
Absolutely, Chrissy. I could not agree more. And that's why, I'm religious about my massages every week. But Anna, what are your thoughts on that?
So would you say that sexy is clarity? I mean, I would. Because it's clarity for mind, body, spirit. It's clarity in what you offer and what you won't tolerate. So sexy is clarity. Myra, what do you think?
Sexy for me is when my daughters see me. There's their mom who struggled in the beginning, to raise them. Now they're 24 years old, knowing that it doesn't matter what your background is, that you can make it. Is getting up in the morning, doing your hair, your makeup, getting ready. You have to see yourself as your future self. So that's what, to me, it's sexy. What about you, Jamie?
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Sexy is not caring if you're, we got to look good from the waist up. So you don't care if you're in sweats. You don't even care if you got your lashes done. And ladies, I know that's a hard one, right? Because we are big on our own vanity. But confidence is going to sell either way. If you're confident in your product, if you're confident in your process, and if you're confident in the company that you are representing, there's no way that you cannot win. You will. Absolutely, 100%. But it takes belief, it takes work ethic, and it takes drive. Amen. Amen. I cannot agree more. You always want to serve and not sell. Absolutely. Let's get strategic. How do we sell from confidence and not fear? How do we go into a sit so confident that we're not in our own bank account, that we're not dealing with what we can afford to do, what our limits are, what our financial boundaries are? How do we go in knowing that a client is already paying $600 a month and we could not make that happen, and tell them that they should be paying 12? That's where being, a little bit confident comes in to be very sexy, because you have to go in there knowing you could not afford $1,200 a month, but you can convince this client that is what is good for their family's financial future, because it is. Everybody's financial situations are different, and we use a special software that will run your information and give you the best plan for you. So it's not agent selected. It's software selected based off what you already have in place through your job and outside of our company. We want to fill in the gaps, not replace anything you already have. Christina, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I have to prep my energy more than I have to prep my pitch. So mind, body, and spirit goes back to, every morning, I need to do those walks. I need to get the right mindset. And once I can have the right mindset, I can have the right energy to go into the day. And that sometimes starts with daily affirmations, deep breaths, making sure you're fully centered so you can get through, not just all your appointments and your clients, but so you can get through and feel confident for the next one going forward, especially in our line of work where there's so much rejection and there's so much, unknown from what you're going to get from one client to the next. It's important that we learn how to have confidence, and that way it doesn't impair us. Whatever they say or do, our frame doesn't change. And that's really what I've learned, with my leader, is never breaking that frame, and it also comes back to one of my favorite quotes would be, fake it till you make it. Sometimes, even if the confidence is on the bend that day, is going into the day. And sometimes we got to fake it till we make it. We got to be happy. We got to, be ready and willing to go. And it's really centering yourself to take it to the next level.
Okay, for me, it has to do everything with preparation. You have to prepare. If you know what you're talking about and you're well prepared, then you'll be fine. But also, you have to have an on and on switch. You have to be able to turn off any issues that you had that happened that morning, whether you're running late for school or whether you were running late out leaving your house. You have to be able to switch that off when you sit down with a client. When you sit down with the client, it's all about the client, and everything in your life is perfect. So any problems that you have to put it all in a backpack and then just zip it up and put it on the side. It's not going anywhere. So you have to prepare yourself and be confident in what you're talking about. And also, you got to take your wins. I think also, you have to be able to take your wins from the day and not and it's okay. You know what? Another thing is that you're allowed to have bad moments in your day, but you can't allow those bad moments to ruin your whole day. So give yourself an hour or 30 minutes for you to bitch and cry and, anything that you need to get out. Like me, when I get my frustration out, when I get ready, I have to bitch for about 15 minutes. I'm going to complain and get all the bitching out the way. But then after that, you got to put your big girl panties on and get to work, because the bills are not going to pay themselves. So that's another way I get ready.
Absolutely, Meyer. I could not agree more. Our needs analysis is absolutely amazing. If you can't afford what's going to fill in the gaps right now, you can always get your foot in the door and then build on that program later with the agent of your choice that has previously written on you. And that is so key. Locking in that agent that knows your goals, your plan, and they actually care about your family. And that's what we offer. We are agents that actually care about you. We want to hear what your needs are. We want to enter in honest information and provide a plan that fits into your budget that's going to make your family's life so much easier. Ladies, confidence is knowing that you'll close. It's not, every single deal. It might be 4 no's. I've had 8 no's in a row and then turn around and got 4 yeses back to back. I felt like Michael Jordan slamming dunks at the end of the quarter, you know? You have to believe in your process. You have to believe in your company. And you have to believe that if you just say the words that are on your screen and you show emotion and concern and that genuine care for them people, that their family's not going to be financially burdened when something happens to them, and that grief is so real and it hurts so much. Could you imagine not being able to pay your bills at a time when you've lost someone that means the world to you? That's what this provides, peace of mind. And it also builds a cash value. So, you know, ladies, let's talk about our image. Styles is still very much a male-dominated industry, which is why we started Single Mom Sales. We want to let single moms know that, yes, this was a male-dominated industry because most males don't have to be home to take care of their kids. They don't have to make sure they eat or that they make it to school on time, but that they got clean clothes to wear, food to eat. They don't have to do that. That's a second job on top of the job that we already have. And when you're a single mom, you don't have a partner that can help you pay for the maid or the nanny, you know, so you're doing everything. You're having to do everything. You're the chef, you're the bill payer, you're the mom, you're the dad, you're the motivator, but nobody's filling your cup. So let's talk about, what does that image really look like? And you still make it slay, even when you're falling apart. Chrissy, what is your experience?
Well, I've struggled. I mean, with 3 kids, all in different sports, they're active social lives. I have to juggle so much that it's difficult when you're in a male-oriented, industry that really trying to be seen. So jumping in last year, really producing is how I was seen. So I don't dim down to seem professional. My personality is big, so my energy has to go harder. And because of that, and just wanting to shine, we have to go 10 times harder and do all the things that most of the males have, spouses or partners, somebody that can assist them with, that they don't have the same challenges as us. However, there's single dads out there, so we'll give them their props too. But in that regard, we have to just handle so many different, there's so many balls we're juggling, and the energy has to be there. And due to having, the vision and the energy and mentality, that's how we're going to close because of that.
Ain't that the truth? Mine is silence. Silence is power. And, I let most people think that I'm not going to rush to fill the gaps. But it's silence and just being quiet. You let them know what it is. You let them know how it's going to help them. You let them know how it's going to affect their future. And then you be quiet. You close your mouth. And that is so hard to do a lot of times. Is just listen. Be personable. Enjoying the silence is the hard part. But more and more that I'm here, the more I'm learning.
Believing in yourself and seeing the vision and already manifesting that vision, saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is a conversation that I had with my daughter last night. Anna, when it comes to working in a male-dominated industry, how do you feel that, this is the ability to separate single moms from the males in this industry and the opportunity that we now have for going virtual?
I feel like I'm done apologizing for being a female. Sales needs more softness, not less. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the softness. I'm here for the not pushy. I'm here for the help. I'm here for the helping people, not for the sales.
I agree. People remember more about how you make them feel and less about the words you say. And you're absolutely right. I hear it all the time. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're a woman. The guy I met with last time was so pushy. I'm sorry. Young guys tend to be that way. It's not a reflection of the company. It's just a reflection of us trying to develop more people, and get them in the field. But for Myra, what would you say? Coming up in a very dominated male industry where you are knocking doors, not like what we're dealing with virtual. We have it easy. You were knocking doors, having to figure out who's going to pick your kids up, what side of freaking town you were going to be on. Growing up in the industry in that generation where you were outnumbered, the only woman at the table. And I know you were, because when I came to the table, you were the only woman sitting at the table, aside from Miss Vasu and other women that were plus ones. You were the only woman at the table. How does that make you feel coming up, knocking doors in a male industry?
Well, you always, how do you keep your sexy and still slay? Well, I like to get up and do my hair, my makeup, and be in a suit. Like, at least put on a jacket. That's how I like to get ready. And I remember saying this too. I was like, another thing, it's like, I believe in myself. I don't think anybody is better than me. And I was like, I see them because I have been in a male dominated room and I still walk in like I'm the baddest bitch out there, you know? And the thing is that they didn't have to go through everything that I had to in the morning for them to be sitting there at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's how I get ready. I was like, I really don't think anybody is better than me. And I think everybody should think like that, that you should be your biggest supporter. You should be your biggest cheerleader in life. Like, I am my biggest cheerleader. Like, I have to, and you have to talk to yourself good every day. Like I do. I had one time I had this agent that she was always feeling down and I made her write down 100 things that you like about yourself. It doesn't have to mean, you don't have to write them all down in one day, but you can do 3 one day, the next day. But every day you have to write down what good things, what qualities that you love about yourself, because it's easy to think about the bad, you know, but you always have to take your wins. So when you walk in, just be confident in who you are. What do you think, Jamie?
We are. That every year when we have the battle with sexes, aside from last year where me and Chrissy were really the only women running in that race, we won the battle of the sexes. And that speaks to the work ethic, the dedication, and the discipline that the women have that come into this industry, that have the opportunity to make thousands of dollars, ladies, thousands of dollars. Money that most people make in a month, you have the ability to make that in a week. And this is not that hard. You just plug into the system. You really learn your rebuttals. You learn your tie downs. You learn what to say, what not to say. You learn how to share your screen properly. And it's a process, and everybody's like a cake, right? They bake at a different pace. You can put it on the same ingredients, same degrees, but that cake may take a little bit longer. The pan you use makes a big difference, but every cake is different. Just because you took 40 days and somebody else took 45 days or 60 days doesn't mean that you will not achieve the success that your coworker achieved. It just means you might get there a little bit longer. And that's okay, right? As long as you get to the end goal. And the end goal is financial freedom and generational wealth for your family. Whether that's through life insurance or residual income through the company that we work for, that is absolutely amazing. There is no other company like it. There is no other agency like it. The SGA that we have, we are not just a number. We are a person, and they will fight for us if our numbers fall below. They will tell the company, give them time. This is that. You know, we might not even know it. We might not even know that we were supposed to get a 30-day notice and we didn't get it, because there's so much you're learning at such a short period of time that you can't possibly process everything. And we don't see what people up at a higher level are doing to fight for us. So we have to remain confident in our ability and understanding that we will get there in our own time and be resilient and keep pushing, because this opportunity has changed my life. And I know that it has changed your ladies' lives, or you ladies' lives, whatever that proper language is. It has changed my life, and I'm sure it's changed your lives. Chrissy, what has this job done for you? And what is your vision for the future in virtual sales?
This job has given me freedom, not only to build the confidence, because I went into this and I was like, absolutely not. So it's given me freedom to be here for my kids, be able to work from home, just have a laptop, internet, and you can work, but at the same time, help people and provide a service that I feel we all definitely need to have. I mean, I was a client before I even started doing this. So, I mean, it's really just given me the opportunity and learning that sacrifice creates opportunity. And even though we're here for our kids and I'm here, most nights I don't eat with my kids. Most nights it's in and out and they're in bed by the time I'm done working. So it's just giving me an opportunity to pick and choose different challenges or activities so that I can still work around it and make a better life for my family and my kids. My goals and aspirations are to basically just be able to continue doing that at a higher level and, work hard now so I could play harder later. And so that's my vision and goals, is to just keep pushing and trying to make it, as successful as I can be.
So what I'm hearing, Chrissy, is that you basically set boundaries for what you're willing to negotiate and what you're not willing to negotiate. So you might sacrifice dinner, but you're not missing your daughter's game, or you're not missing her competition. And maybe every now and then you do for special occasions. That's a sacrifice that creates the opportunity that you're willing to make. But that's an amazing opportunity to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm not willing to not do. And this is what I'm willing to do to make it happen. Anna, what are your thoughts on that and everything that you're going through? And not to put your business out there, but you're going through there a lot. You're in the middle of a divorce that you've been in for over a decade. You have children that you're fighting for and that you're still caring for and that you're the mom for and that you're still having to do everything, even if it's from a distance. Tell us about that and what the vision is for this job and what it can do for you, especially once you get your skill sets up. Because, sweetheart, you have the personality. It's all about the skill sets from here on out. It's about learning them tie downs and rebuttals and being on script and believing in yourself. Tell us about that.
Jamie, don't make me cry. A lot of times we second guess ourselves and we're not really sure that we can do this job. And especially like you said, a lot is happening in my personal life, between divorce, lawyers, kids, games, horseback riding, you name it. I've probably got it, And then the fact that when I do have my kids together, I'm a memory mom. I'm not a buy you something mom. So I want to make sure that they have all the things to make a memory, whether that's camping or a dumb rec room. We're doing it and it's happening. And this job has really allowed me to not only spend the time and not just daily time, but actual memorable time with my kids that I wouldn't have been able to, so it's
amazing.
It really is. It really is.
It's amazing. And I feel you through the call. I know where your heart is, and I know that you fight every day for your kids, and you're like the mom that we all strive to be, right?
If I was,
you are. Don't make me.
I really wish I was.
You are. You're like the lady. What's that show we said, Chrissy, that she reminds us of? Stafford Wife or something. Like, she's perfect, picture perfect. Everything's picture perfect all the time. So just keep doing you, keep succeeding, and no doubt that this job is going to take you to levels that you've never dreamed of. Myra, what do you feel?
No, sexy sales. I know it can be a little scary for a lot of people. I know when I first started, I was like, no, I'm a single mom of 4. I need income like right now, like steady income. And I was a little bit nervous when I first started. I didn't want to do this. I actually walked out of the meeting that they had, the overview, because I was like, no, this is not for me, because I worked in sales before. And I was like, it's not true. What they were telling me is not true. That's what the big dogs are making. What are the regular people making, right? And I was like, I need something that's consistent. Little did I know, if it wasn't for my manager who came out and spoke to me, he says, trust me, you can make a lot of money. And when he showed me how to make my first $1,000, I was like, okay. I was like, I need at least minimum $1,000 a week, minimum. And this was over 10 years ago, because I had left another job that was paying me very well. And the job that I left to lied to me and told me, hey, you're going to make this much money. And it wasn't true. So when I saw that this was sales too, I was like, nah, I don't think so. However, it was the best decision that I ever made. Is it easy? In the beginning, it will not. I'm not going to paint it to you and say it's all sunshines and rainbows, because it's not. You do have to put in the work, but it is the best decision that you can make. And with us, giving you the tips, we already went through all the things that could go wrong. So now let us teach you how to make sales sexy.
If this hits home, share it, screenshot it, tag us, DM us, Sexy Sales. If you want real tools we use every day to keep closing deals confidently with a sexy smile on our face. Confidence is contagious, Chrissy. What do you think about that?
I mean, I totally agree. Confidence is contagious. That's why we need to pass it on. We need to tell another mom today or every day, tell another mom that they are already enough. Let them know that all they really need is a platform. And just that little bit can be contagious.
Absolutely. And next week, we're not wearing any bras, right? We're going to talk about real life hacks to closing deals during all the chaos that we have going on that is our life. Next week, we're going to talk all about being sexy, confident, powerful, and paid. Ladies, you are already hurt. It's time to tap into that and own it.
Boss, I'm a leader. I pull up in my two-seater and my mama was a savage. Nigga got this shit from Tina. I'm a savage. Yeah. Classy.